Hello everybody, this is Victoria, your dog guru, and today we're talking about anxiety, specifically dog separation anxiety. Does your dog start shaking, whining, crying, or following you around the house obsessively right before you leave home? Do you come home to loads of destruction, just shredded things or destroyed furniture? Do you get complaints from your neighbors saying that your dog was crying and howling the entire time you were gone today? Or are you going out to check your mailbox and you come home to find out that your dog has already delivered a package to your carpet? If this sounds like you, then today's podcast is for you. Separation anxiety is one of the hardest things to break because it requires a whole lot of practice, more so than when you're trying to get your dog to give you attention or sit or stay. This runs deeper. It's usually a behavior cultivated over a long period of time, and so it takes a while to reverse all the effects of it, from your dog shaking and panting and whining and barking and howling to realizing that you leaving just means they can pop a squat on the floor or the couch and relax while you're gone. Identifying triggers is really the first step. So do you notice that your dog is fine when you're getting dressed, but then as soon as you go to grab your shoes, now they're shaking, whining, crying? That's your trigger. But there's usually more than one. One can be seeing you get your shoes on, knowing that that's a signal to leave. Another one could be hearing your keys jangling or picking up your purse. Or maybe it's going back even further than that. Maybe as soon as you turn on the coffee pot in the morning, they've already begun the countdown sequence. So figure out what your triggers are, and then you can work on neutralizing those triggers, making them something that they're looking forward to rather than dreading. I'm going to start with one that I feel like every dog is probably aware of and everybody has to deal with because they usually lock their house before they leave, and that's your keys. If you notice that every time you pick up your keys, your dog starts to panic, pick a time of day where you typically will not leave and go grab your keys. Shake them a little bit. Just completely ignore the dog's reaction. And then stand there. Do something they're not going to expect. You can also go grab the keys, shake them around, and then sit and watch a television show. Do this several times. Even pick up the keys and walk room to room with them, set them down, and go about your business. Pretend you don't know that your dog is shaking in his boots and going crazy, and make this sequence really random. Go make dinner, grab your keys, maybe shake them around while you're waiting for the stove to heat up, and then just set them back down. And do this a lot. For every trigger that you have, say picking up your purse is a trigger, first you work on the keys being the trigger and making that random, and then breaking down the association with the purse. So I pick up my keys, I shake them, well, there's no reaction anymore, and now I can move on to the harder thing, the purse, because as soon as I pick up my purse, he knows I'm out and leaving him. So you'll repeat the same process. You'll pick up your purse, pick up your keys, but instead of leaving through the door, you're just going to go sit down, lay down, read a book. You do this so often that every trigger now doesn't have the association of you leaving. If your shoes are a trigger, go ahead and put them on, but walk around the house. Sit down and have a cup of coffee. Don't leave. Building on that, you can actually start the whole process of you getting ready because you've neutralized some of your triggers. You shake the keys, you pick up your purse, you put on your shoes, and then you go out. You count 10 seconds in your head and come back in. When you return, don't pay any immediate attention to your dog. A lot of times when we first get home, we go, "Oh, hi puppy, 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 I missed you, I missed you." That can cause more anxiety long term, so I act like the dog isn't there. When I see the dog has kind of lost interest in me and maybe he goes to go grab a bone or he goes to lay down on the couch, kind of like, well, where's my welcome party? That's when I'll call my dog's name and ask them to head over to me. And then I very calmly pet them, tell them what a good dog they are, and immediately switch gears to relax. If you're marking your absence and making a huge event of it, such as saying things like, "Okay, mommy will be back later," what you're really telling him is it's time to anticipate the worst, because a dog minute and a human minute are like worlds apart. So start with 10-second intervals. You can gradually add and tack on more time, 10 seconds at a time, which sounds like nothing. But once you're up to about 15, 20 minutes of being on the other side of the door without the dog whining and crying, you're getting somewhere. You're finally getting traction in an area where they had no previous experience, and you're breaking down the cultivated status of fear. So how do you know if you can leave for a long time? Well, first of all, if you have a destructive dog, I recommend crating, which I actually have another podcast about that along with potty training in our very first. So if you haven't listened to that, I definitely recommend you check it out. Lots of great tips on there for how to get your dog used to the crate, comfortable with the crate, and creating a safe space with it. When you're dealing with anxiety, safety is really important, and sometimes if they feel that they can control their own space, they feel calmer. Whereas if they have a whole house to parade around and they just start going from window to window, destroying any set of blinds in their path just so that they can get a glimpse of mom and dad. And you really don't want to give them a big wide space if you've seen destruction when you come home. More space means a lot. Really, the more restrictive the space is, like a bathroom, an open kitchen that's been baby gated, that will not only limit their level of destruction, but it gives them a more secure space to learn from. Another tip I have is starting to get a good association with your absence. And you can start this when you are going to be home for a while. You can give your dog a peanut butter filled Kong. Sometimes I fill them with cheese or peanut butter and then I freeze it so it'll take them longer. And the only time the Kong ever comes out is when I'm not going to be giving them my attention. Ultimately, when I'm leaving. But with anxiety, you need to take baby steps. The first time I give a frozen Kong to them, I might give it to them in the living room while I'm in the kitchen cooking. This particular tip really promotes independence and security. Another thing you can do to give them a little comfort when you're absent is take a shirt, one that you don't really value that much, and wear it around the house for an afternoon. And then wherever the dog sleeps, wherever they're most comfortable, go ahead and leave it there. You can even leave your Kong on top of it, so this way they have some incentive to go check it out. And the scent of having you there is going to really amplify their security in your absence. The more positive outlets you have, things that they only get when you're not around, the more they're going to feel secure with you being gone, regardless of the length of time. Like I said earlier, you have to start small, you have to start short, and you have to make sure you've identified each trigger. So go out there, identify your triggers, send me any questions that you have about this process, and tell me about your dogs, because I love to hear about them. That's really why I'm here, is to make sure that you have a happy, healthy dog and have an outlet for your questions, your concerns, your stories. If you haven't already, go ahead and click that subscribe button. You can find us all over. We're on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. Just search Dog Guru and look for our logo. We also have a Twitter account now, so if you'd like to submit your questions there, we'd love to hear from you. Just type in @ask_dogguru. Let us know you're out there. Thanks so much. Again, I'm Victoria, your dog guru, and I'm signing off.